Hey, y'all, and welcome to the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast, where I encourage you in healthy mind, body, and spirit through my Sunday reset. Let's get into it. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Healthy by Heather Brown podcast. You're in for a treat today because we've got Ashley and Dave Willis joining us. I first found them on the XO Marriage podcast called Naked Marriage. And yes, we will be talking about sex today. Don't worry. I know y'all are amped. But now they've actually launched out on their own on a new show. And so when I saw that and I slid into their DMs and asked them to come on the show to come talk about marriage with us this season, I was so pumped when they said yes. So with all that said, Ashley and Dave, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Heather. We're excited.
Yeah,
absolutely. I'm so thankful to have y'all. Tell everybody a little bit, if they're not familiar with you guys and your show and your ministry, what you guys do.
Sure.
Yeah, we're Dave and Ashley Willis. We've been married, at 24 years at this point. We got married young, and we've been doing marriage ministry, really helping coach couples, encourage couples, equip couples and families for the last 10 or 12 years. And we were part of a ministry called XO Marriage for about 7 years, which was a lot of fun. But yeah, we're back independent, which is fun. We've launched a new show called Marriage on the Line, and we're speaking. Ashley has a counseling and coaching practice. So yeah, we got 4 little boys and a dog. So there's no dull moments around our house.
No doubt.
And we have a lot of fun.
So fun. Well, what kind of dog do you have? I have to ask.
We have a Chiweenie, which apparently, that's what the pound told us at least. And she's the cutest thing. She looks like a long-bodied Chihuahua, kind of, because she's supposedly part Chihuahua, part Dachshund. And she lights up our world. And she always thinks anyone coming to the house is coming to see her. She's a very defensive, she's also keeping us safe.
I love it so much. Well, then this is kind of a selfish question I'm going to lead off with because you have 4 boys. How old are your boys?
So they range in age 10 to 20.
Okay, awesome. So I have 2 little boys. They are 6 and 9, and getting a dog is on the table for the first time for us. So I'm just curious, as, marriage counselors and also fellow, I guess, boy parents, any suggestions on what to think about when getting a dog and or teaching the responsibility or all that kind of stuff? What's worked well for y'all?
Well, I would say we have not always thrived in this. We actually,
this is so true.
Some of y'all are going to hate us for this. We rehomed a couple of dogs that just weren't the right fit. We had one that she just kept escape. Our boys were little at the time.
Yes.
And they were just, I think, too rough for her. And she was this little pug. She was not having it. She would always try to escape. And so we followed the save her way. And then we went to a breeder and got a golden retriever, which we thought, this cannot go wrong, right? It's a golden retriever. But this golden retriever we got, I think she'd been to prison or something.
She's super alpha.
Super aggressive.
We were
always humping Ashley's leg.
She was humping my leg all the time.
She was alpha. She was pretty,
She did not like having to share the house with another woman among all these boys. And so we were and I had a baby at the time. I think here's my best advice is the ages that your kids are now are the perfect ages for a dog.
Don't do it with a baby.
Yes, don't do it with a baby. But I'm telling you, they can help with the food. They can help with taking her out or him out and just walking the dog and playing with the dog. I mean, we have so much fun. We love tossing something, through the house with Chi-Chi and watching her go after it. It's just it's so fun. She's brought so much joy to our house.
She has. And I will say, we were not really small dog people. We thought small dogs are basically cats and we're not cat people. But this little dog has been so good for us. One, our house isn't torn up because, big dogs, even though they're great, they tear up a house. And, it's easier to take care of. The poop is smaller, all of it. So find the dog that's right for you. The kids are at the right age. But if it's just not a fit, it's not like adopting a child where, you feel okay, well, our life's upside down. We've just got to keep this dog for the next 20 years.
True.
You really don't. So be nice to the dog.
Yeah.
But if you're home in the place, find a good place for him and move on. But Chi-Chi's the perfect fit for us. And she's living it. She's living her best life.
She is. We've had her for about 6 years now. And it's we don't have time without her. So there's her. And our kids picked her. I will say that maybe your boys, wherever you go or whatever you decide, maybe get them really involved in picking the dog, because I always say I wouldn't have picked Chi-Chi because she's so little, but our 2 middle kids picked her. And we really, I literally prayed about this. Lord, we have rehomed 2 dogs. We can't do this again.
Bless the next dog.
This dog work. Bless this dog, and he did.
That's so great. So I love it. Well, I will now move on from my selfish questions and get into like the heavy hitters. But let's start out with y'all. I feel like what's so cool about you guys is, I mean, y'all really are some of the marriage experts. And so I have saved a lot of my listeners like hardest hitting questions for you guys. And so I'm like, y'all buckle up. Here we go. We're going to dive right in. Ashley and Dave, will y'all share a little bit about some of the struggles that y'all started with in the beginning of your marriage? I know, Dave, you've spoken fairly openly about porn being a part of that struggle. So will y'all just share a little bit about what that journey looked like for you? Because I think that it's ignorant to, especially in the church, act like porn isn't a struggle for men and for women as well, but often gets ignored. So I was like, they can handle this question. I'm bringing it to them.
Yeah, thanks for the question. And you're right. It is a huge issue in the church, outside the church. It's not talked about nearly enough, especially in the church, sadly. I think just because a lot of churches don't know how to have the conversation, but so many people are struggling. So if you're listening right now and that's you, you're caught up in it, just know you're not alone. You will get through it, but you have to take the steps to get healing. It won't fix itself. You have to get honest about it, get accountability around yourself, get some filtering software, some other proactive measures. As far as our story, I had a porn, kind of a secret on again, off again porn struggle from my teenage years into early adulthood that I had kept secret from Ashley, which was a huge mistake. God calls us, especially in marriage, to be open. That's why our podcast was called The Naked Marriage. It's openness, honesty, nothing to hide from each other. And I'd kept that hidden. And then when I fell back into it as a married man now, I didn't know what to do with that shame I was feeling. And I didn't have the courage to confess, frankly. And she found it. This was long before the days of smartphones. It was on this big clunky desktop computer, and she found it, and that brought it out into the open. And that started the long, messy process of rebuilding trust and really trying to break free from it once and for all. And even that was a process because it was so embedded in my mind that it really took some time for me to truly get, I call it a form of sobriety, to really get sober once and for all from it. And now on the other side, many years on the other side of it, I'm so thankful for how Ashley walked with me through that season with a lot of grace, but also making sure that we had boundaries in place, but not adding to the shame I already felt, which she could have so easily done. And now God uses that as a big part of our story. I mean, almost everywhere we go, we talk at least some about pornography because, like you said, Heather, it's everywhere. It's not just a men problem. More and more women are getting involved in it. I think it sometimes starts innocently, people looking for instruction. They're like, oh, this is like a how-to. And they're just curious, but it's not instructional. Really, it's everything about it's counterfeit. And it will train you. It will train your mind and your body really to be a very selfish spouse, a very selfish lover. It will sabotage your thinking related to sex. And God has something better for you. His plan for sex is so good. It's a gift for married couples. He wants you to enjoy that gift in its fullness, and porn will sabotage that. So if that's part of your story, I'll just say, we could talk for hours and hours just on that, but we have a lot of resources, past podcast episodes. We have a free ebook at daveandashley.com called 9 Days to Great Sex that talks a lot about pornography. And that's a free resource. So we've got a lot out there that dives into this deeper.
And I will definitely link to those resources that they just mentioned down in the show notes, you guys. But I do want, and I'm so glad that we mentioned it. And I'm actually really glad I was telling them I was listening to some of their episodes on their new podcast. So you guys do make sure you check that out, called Marriage on the Line. But y'all mentioned specifically about some website that now has a resource where you can safely look for ideas as a married couple with like new sex positions or what have you. Will you share that?
I would say there's several. There's something, well, if you want to look on YouTube, we kind of have fun with it, okay? So I want to say...
it's a fun video.
It's a fun video. Go to the Dave and Ashley Willis YouTube channel, and it's Christian sex positions, which sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's these cards, and you can Google that, and it's these cards that are stick people, and it gives all these ideas, and they give it a name. Each position is a name. And so you can have a lot of fun with it. And so we talked about some of those cards, but also there's a great website called themarriagebed.com. That has so many great, it's all the questions that we all have that we don't know where to go for them. And we're afraid to Google it because we're like, who knows what's going to come up. And the Marriage Bed does it's a Christian website. And they do a great job of being honest. They don't use, we're big fans of using actual terms for body parts. So there's no confusion. And they just talk through different positions, different questions. A lot of times people will ask us like, what's okay, what's not okay. And they go into that. So it's a great website.
I love that. And Ashley, now that we've kind of established that, because I do think that a lot of the women that listen to this podcast, they are believers. And one thing that I actually think that it has become such a slippery slope recently for women, even especially in Christian circles, is reading these books that are, like they're sexy, like exciting books. And we just call them light beach reads. And it's like, you don't even really think about it, but it becomes this slippery slope. Do you guys mind even sharing just a little bit about that? And is it okay to read those? Is it not? Is it up to each couple? And then also, Ashley, I'd love to hear your side of what it was like walking through with Dave when he did come to you and share the porn stuff. So we'll start with the book question, then I'll come back to the next one.
Yeah, I mean, as a guy, I know the books aren't targeted to me. It tends to be targeted to women, but really, I see it as sort of an equivalent to porn in a lot of ways, because it's creating these sexual scenarios and fantasies in your mind, which is exactly what actual pornography is designed to do. It's a different route to the same place,
right?
And so I do think that you have to be careful with just in general what we're putting into our minds, So like, what's the wise thing to do? What's the best thing that I can put into my mind to make sure that I'm keeping on track with God's plan for sex, and anything that's stirring up fantasy desire that is outside of marriage, not focused on your spouse. I think that's always dangerous.
It is. And I think too, for us women, a lot of times we can get really lost in those scenarios, even beyond the sex, but become like, a lot of women will get very dissatisfied with their actual spouse because they're basing their expectations on like Hallmark movies mixed with these sexual scenarios they find in these romance novels.
Billionaire, adventurer,
small-town girl.
It's ridiculous. Exactly. And it's like, my husband never talks to me like Chad does in whatever novel. Like it's just, we have to watch, we just always need to watch, where our eyes go, what we're listening to, like what we're consuming, right? And so it is, it's like, is this helping me or hurting me? And those romance novels, they can be a slippery slope for sure.
And then, so I appreciate y'all touching on that. Now, Ashley, do you mind sharing a little bit? Because I think your perspective is so refreshing to hear, that when Dave, told you like, hey, this is a struggle that I'm having, or you found it. And I feel like there is often relapse, like with any kind of addiction, So do you mind sharing, especially because this was some of the questions that I got in the question box, is like, I know that my husband has struggled with porn. How do I not feel like I'm crazy? How do I not just like check his phone all the time, or should I be? And what do those lines look like? Do you mind speaking to that, Mom?
Absolutely. So I did find it. I was not looking for it. People ask me that. Like, I did not have any inkling that there was something like involving porn. At that time, we always know when something's off in our marriage, but we may not know what's causing that feeling. And I knew something was off. I didn't know what it was. And I remember I was trying to work on school stuff. This is in the early years of our marriage. I was actually still a college student. And so I go on our clunky computer and I find these websites. I'm like, what in the world? And I honestly thought someone broke into our home at the time and went and looked at porn. Like that's because I just could not allow my mind to realize it was Dave. And then it was like really quickly, it's like the Holy Spirit's being like, Ashley, this is what's going on with you and your husband. And this is what Dave has been looking at. And so I called him and I asked him to tell me, I was like, I think I literally just said, do you have something you need to tell me? He immediately knew what it was. And he immediately fessed up. And that began kind of our road to healing. And something I really had to get a grip on was not allowing anger to take over. Because the thing that people don't realize is when we discover our spouse is keeping some kind of secret from us, there is a grieving process that happens afterwards, because we're grieving the loss of what we thought our marriage was. And it can feel a little bit like a death of a dream even, because you're like, oh my gosh, my spouse isn't as perfect as I thought they were, because we tend to put them on a pedestal. And very quickly, when I would get really angry and I would pray about this, which I encourage anybody going through this, pray about it so that, God doesn't want us to go through this alone. And I remember it was like, anytime I would put myself up on a high horse, like, oh, I would never do something like that to Dave. And how could he? It was very quickly that God would convict me and be like, listen, Ashley, maybe porn's not your struggle, but you're not perfect either. You need Jesus every day. And that kind of helped me to just, stay humble and not allow anger to take root and just take over. And also with that, I think a lot of times in this, we can become like investigators when our spouse has been involved in maybe pornography, or maybe they have a problem with lust and looking at other women. We can find ourselves really clocking everything they do, and we almost feel like we have to be their keeper. But I just want to tell women, and I often do in my coaching practice, that that's really not our job, right? This sin issue is between Dave and God, and I'm affected by it as his wife, absolutely. And there's a place for accountability between us. But I don't need to become an investigator, because that's going to drive me mad, and it's going to drive a wedge between us. And so I really, again, I needed to dig deep and pray through that. And during this time too, we did have different counselors involved at different points. And I think going to counseling is essential in walking through this too, because again, we don't need to go through this alone. But just realizing that Dave had his responsibility to get sober and stay sober when it came to porn. And that I had my responsibility to not hold this over his head constantly and constantly tell him, oh my gosh, you're looking at that lady. And he could tell me no all day long, but I'm saying, no, I see it. I think that just drives both of us crazy. And so we had to find kind of a rhythm that worked for us. And a lot of times I get asked this question. They'll say, well, you say we need to have accountability. What does that look like? And I would say in the beginning phases, I would have a weekly, the beginning phase of this journey towards sobriety. I would say it'd be good to have like a weekly check-in where you'd say something like, hey, like, how have you been going? How's it been going this week? Have you been tempted to look at porn? Have you looked at porn? And, wives really want their husbands to understand that it's so much better to go ahead and fess up to the fact that you had a relapse than to keep it in and expect her to never find it, or to eventually find it and then have to explain it. It's so much better to just come out with it. And that is going to build trust. Jimmy Evans, who we worked with for years at XO Marriage, says that trust is built in drops and lost in buckets. And I think we just have to remember that it's a process. And every time a husband, stays sober and is honest if he's being tempted, or is honest if he's having a hard time or did have a relapse, that is going to build your wife's trust. And regardless of porn, anything, in marriage. And so I'm so thankful that first, I was able to, through God and his grace, not by my own, but able to forgive Dave and say, listen, what you did hurt me and it was wrong, but I'm going to surrender this to the Lord and know that he's going to help you through this and help us through this. And then because of that, allow him the space and grace to rebuild my trust, which takes time, and I'm so grateful that he did those things. And it wasn't perfect. I think we had several, he had several relapses we had to work through, but, we did the check-ins, I would say weekly in the beginning for a couple months. And then you start putting more time in between those check-ins. And over time, even though he's been free from this for years, I would say every now and then I will check in and I'll just say, like, how are you doing with that? And because it's important to have that kind of
and I also think that, you guys talk about this all the time. It also continues to build that intimacy and that safety and that trust. So that then leads to healthier sex in the bedroom and all the things. So yeah, I love hearing all this. And you actually made me think about another question that somebody asked recently, because you talked about, you mentioned anger and you mentioned grief at different parts. Well, I had one lady who wrote in and said something along the lines of, my husband just has really bad anger issues. And so when he explodes, I really don't know what to do. So how do y'all advise women in that scenario? And I know obviously the roles can be flipped and women can be the one that lose their temper easily as well. So what is the best way to almost like combat that or take a step back?
Yeah, that was a great question. And it's hard to give like a one size fits all approach without knowing kind of the individual dynamic and personality. But what I do know, and scripture makes this clear, is like, we're not to live angrily. We're not to give full vent to our anger. In Proverbs, it says, a fool gives full vent to his anger, but a wise person keeps himself under control. It doesn't mean that we're never upset or angry. Even Jesus got angry sometimes, but when we're living as a slave to our own emotion, really it hurts the people around us. And as that husband, it's really his responsibility first. It's not the wife's responsibility to calm him down, even though there are certainly things she can do to try to help diffuse the situation and to be a peacemaker. But it's his responsibility to get control over his emotion. And there's different ways to do that. There are exercises that you can do. Oftentimes, anger in men is a manifestation of depression. Usually when depression sets in women, it manifests more as sadness, but in men, it manifests as anger. Like, there's nothing wrong with being on an antidepressant. I'm actually on an antidepressant, that was triggered by this, autoimmune thing I've got, and got my hormones out of whack. But I'll tell you, just that generic, generic Zoloft or whatever it is that I'm on. Low dose makes a huge difference and just kind of keeping my mind steady. And I still get upset sometimes, but it just, it helps, So I will tell that guy, do whatever you can do. What you have a responsibility to be at your best for your family. And we need to do that. And for this wife, I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this. I would say for all of us should do our part to not try to trigger our spouse, but at the same time, we don't need to live feeling like it's always our fault that our spouse is angry, because that's their issue. Yeah, we try to be peacemakers and we try to calm things down, but ultimately this is on him.
Right. And I mean, of course, our feelings are not like of the devil. I think there's always like been that misunderstanding. Like we have to feel our feelings. They are a symptom that something's going on. They're there to inform us, but not to guide us. And I think, one of the best piece of advice I could give this wife is don't match his intensity. Instead, come at him with curiosity and not criticism.
Yeah, that's so good.
Because when you come at somebody with curiosity and concern, and you're not just unleashing right back at them what they gave you, it really can cause them to pause. And because here's the deal is the husband, he may not even realize how angry he's coming off. Like when his autoimmune thyroid disorder was really just rearing its head in him, he would sometimes come off really angry. And I would be like, hey, sweetie, what's going on? Like, you just seem so angry. And he'd say, I'm not angry. There's nothing wrong. And I'd say, but you are coming off as angry. And I'm so grateful he believed me. So what I would say to this husband is,
and that she believed the best in me, that like, he's not trying to,
right.
Be offensive or prickly or whatever, like that there's some issue there. And I want to investigate and try to get to the root of this issue with him in as calm a way as possible. Like a surgeon looking for where the issue is to help remove it instead of just cutting everywhere. So that all of us can do that, men and women alike, to try to be curious and be peacemakers.
Exactly. And I would say to the husband who maybe is angry, if your spouse comes to you and says, you're really, you seem so angry all the time, and I'm really concerned because you seem like you're always mad at me and the kids, believe them. Like, believe your spouse when they tell you that, because you, inside your heart, you're like, well, I don't feel like I'm angry, because maybe you're denying it, but I believe them because they're getting that like from you. And so whether it's anger or sadness or, you seem like you're hiding something, we need to believe each other.
That's so good, you guys. I'm like, whoa, that'll preach. I'm like, that's an Instagram clip right there. I loved all that so much. Okay. I do want to pivot slightly. And you guys actually said that this is one of the most popular questions that you guys get asked. It was also something that was asked in our Q&A box that I posted. They are curious if sex toys are okay in marriage. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the Bible gives us a ton of freedom and flexibility to innovate and to explore and enjoy and appreciate and celebrate each other in the marriage bed. I would say just a couple of caveats with that, though, is like, make sure both people are comfortable with it. Yes. If it's always something where one spouse is constantly pushing, I want you to do this, do this, do this, and the other one is super uncomfortable with it and just reluctantly going along, that dynamic makes it an unsafe place for the spouse who's always reluctant. And so never shame one spouse who might be more adventurous, wanting to try new things, for having that adventurous spirit, but also don't shame the spouse who's maybe a little bit more reluctant, or you gotta make sure both of you can express yourselves, talk about what you want, talk about what you like and don't like. But yeah, as long as you're not bringing somebody else into the marriage bed physically or virtually, and you're not doing anything to cause pain to another, and both spouses are in agreement, virtually everything is in bounds at that point, but just don't let coercion be a part of it.
Right. That gives us a lot of room for creativity, when it comes to it. And I'll say this too, we're in our 40s right now, and we talk to a lot of people younger than us and older than us. And sometimes, like a woman going through menopause, there are different toys that help to enhance her experience where it might be painful in other ways. You know what I'm saying? So like, I feel like when it comes to toys and even different positions, there's just a lot of room for creativity. And I think when we just completely say like, it's missionary only and never involve like anything else, like toy wise or whatever. I think that that's just being very close minded. But again, with that said, we all, have different preferences. And I think it just, the marriage bed needs to be a safe place where we both feel respected and we feel loved, and where we're not doing anything that's just clearly, like not glorifying God, like hurting each other.
Yes,
like
for sure. And I also thought it was really interesting. You guys have talked several times, and it felt really, I don't know how else to put it, but almost like relieving to me to hear that you guys say a lot of times that you don't necessarily want to even have the vibrator or like do masturbation or those kind of things alone without your spouse there. And I have actually specifically had people ask those kind of questions as well. And so, or even other Christian counselors advising that, like, figure out what feels good to you by yourself. And it always just kind of felt weird to me. So do y'all mind even just kind of like explaining that a little bit? Because I think your reasoning and the way that you describe it is really helpful.
Yeah, it's a great question. And again, like, I think with curiosity, people can get in this habit of like, I want to develop the confidence alone to figure out what feels good to me so that I can be more confident in the bedroom. But what we found is that the more that you are looking at any kind of sexual activity, masturbation, self-pleasure as a solo sport instead of as a husband-wife together activity, even if you're doing it with the intention of like, I'm wanting to do this to be a better lover and to be more confident, what happens instead is it usually trains us to be more selfish in the bedroom. We're getting into the habit of, I'm just going to do what feels good to me and get to my climax as quickly as possible. And my spouse is really just there to aid in that instead of me being there to, to give them pleasure too. So discovering it together is part of the fun, having the confidence to be like, oh, that feels really good, or that doesn't feel as good, but to celebrate it together, to explore together, because masturbation, it's a slippery slope, by itself. And so I think when we get into that rhythm, we get into that habit, and we're pleasuring ourselves separate from our spouse, really it's putting this invisible barrier between us. So if you're in that habit, I don't say that to shame you, because I've been in that habit, especially, when pornography was evolved. And I know, looking back, that it was actually further sabotaging me and creating more distance between Ashley and me. And so I just don't want that for you. I want you to experience intimacy in all of its fullness.
Well, then you're giving all your desire to just the self-pleasure, and then not having room for your spouse, cause it's like you just don't, you don't feel like you need it because you've already taken care of it yourself. So that's what we kind of find ourselves in when we're in that rhythm of masturbation. So that's something to consider.
Sure. Well, thank you guys for weighing in on that. And then I'm curious, because a lot of the comments were like, I'm too tired to have sex, or what do I do when I'm completely tapped out, or those kind of things. So I guess the question ultimately comes down to, what's your best advice for couples who feel like they're too tired, too stressed, or too broke for intimacy?
Well, I would say open up your mind to the schedule. The sex doesn't have to just happen as the last thing of the day. Because if it's always just the last thing of the day, you're never going to have your best energy for it. Right before bed is all of our lowest time of the day. Even, for men in particular, our testosterone levels vary greatly throughout the day. They peak in the morning. And then for most of us, they slowly decline all the way till bedtime. So for a man, literally his lowest of the whole day, time of virility and energy and sex drive and all of that, is right before bed. And that's the one time slot when most people feel like that's when it has to happen, when everything else is perfect and there's no quiet, there's no distraction. So I think get into a rhythm of saying, let's mix it up. Let's mix up the time. Let's meet at home for a lunch date, when it's the middle of the day, we have energy. Let's put a movie on for the kids, and go different times of the day. It's going to be a different experience because your energy levels are different. So I know that feeling, getting to the end of the day, working, raising kids, all that. And you're like, man, I got hardly nothing left. But try to give each other your best energy. And I think you're going to see that it'll actually energize you to do that for the rest of the day.
And I think that's where scheduling it, like, make your calendar and your schedule work for you, to where, again, it's not just like, well, it'll happen if we both feel, if the stars align and we both feel the same amount of libido at that time, and like the right time, and the kids are just so.
Because in the book, that's how it happened during the Hallmark movie.
Right.
That's not how it happened.
Yeah. And I hear people say, like, I wish we could be spontaneous, but that's never going to happen. So I guess we'll just never have sex. And I would say, well, what we tend to prioritize, we usually put on the calendar, we put on the schedule. And so, find out, like, talk about it and say, like, what do we want the frequency to look like in this season? It may be different in another season, and then schedule it. If you don't like that, maybe agree on a number of days that you do not go without, that you're like, we will have sex every 3 days, and we'll do our best to do that. And if we can build on that, great. For some of you, it might be once a week. I don't know. Everybody's different. We get that question all the time, but make sure that you're not denying each other. I mean, the Bible is even so clear about this that, there's a time for, I guess, prayer and fasting, but really it says other than that, like, try to prioritize this for each other, because we're the only legitimate place to be, to sexual fulfillment. And so we don't want to leave each other just hanging, feeling sexually frustrated.
Don't want to be high and dry, guys. And y'all, they specifically just said like doing it on your calendar. And we talk here on the podcast all the time about your Sunday resets. That's where you're setting your intention for the week. You're putting in your workouts or, whatever it is, your date nights, what's important to you. Do you mind speaking into a little bit? Because I find it so interesting. And Dave, Eric is going to love to hear what you just said, because he's like, yeah, babe, at 5 a.m., I'm like ready and raring to go. He's like at the gym, moving, grooving. But then by the time he gets home at night, and he's a 5 on the Enneagram. So he would tell you all this. It's like he spent his battery for the day. And so by the time we like get the kids in bed and he's coached soccer and he's been on his feet at the hospital all day, like he's exhausted. So, which I totally get. But I'm curious, knowing that men even hormonally are, dead tired at the end of the day. What do y'all think is the best way to still like plug in, even when he's exhausted, even when, it's like maybe you only have an hour in between your kids going to bed and like you guys need to go to bed? Is there something that y'all do to try to get on the same page, even when you're both so tired? I'd love to hear it.
Oh, yeah. For us, like walks have been revolutionary, to be able to walk together.
Yeah.
And there's actually, or a drive, it's looked different in different seasons, but there's actually neuroscience behind this, especially when it comes to men. Men are much more likely to open up when side by side and doing an activity as opposed to face to face. And that's not to say that we're going to like go through life without facing each other. We need both. But women, we tend to open up a lot easier than men, and wanting, we need that interaction, especially for intimacy. Like we need to feel emotionally connected to our spouse to feel like we want to be romantic and sexual. And so, I know for us, like, just going on a walk and talking about our day, not just talking about shop talk, like bills and kids and stuff, but like hopes and dreams, something funny we saw, a funny meme, like, I don't know, just ways we can connect. That's a big way, is through walking. But also throughout the day, we try to flirt with each other and just connect with each other via text, or we'll call each other, and just trying to stay connected, because really connection is what we all long for. And I feel like a lot of times sex isn't happening because both spouses feel disconnected. And so you have to find ways to make connection possible.
And if the end of the day is all you have, like, I would say, walk, talk, watch a show you like together. But if you want the physical intimacy to happen, if you're specifically wanting to be in a place where both of you can make love and be ready for it, I would say like both of you shower at the end of the day, maybe together, and you're getting clean. It wakes you up. It's like a restart. It's a restart for the body. Although the water hitting you, then you're already clean. You're already naked.
Done and done.
That's right.
And,
yeah. And there you go. And in the night, and so, literally with a bang. So there you go.
Because by the end of the day, like, not only are you tired, but usually you feel kind of grimy. It's like to really be at our best for each other. Like that's a simple way to hit reset. It's like, hey, let's take a shower, and it's going to be a natural reset, and then let's go from there. Let's massage each other. Let's enjoy each other. And again,
good stuff. So, I like it. Do y'all have any shows that y'all have loved watching together too? Because I feel like that's always fun to hear new shows that you hadn't thought of, maybe.
Oh my God. Well, we're huge Office fans, and I know there's so many fans out there. That's like one of our go-tos. Just for a laugh, a comfort show, I guess you'd say.
We watch a lot of like crime dramas. We watch.
I'm trying to think recently.
Gosh,
something. Like Severance. We've gotten into Apple
I haven't
TV.
seen that yet.
Severance is really. It's like a psychological drama.
It's different, but it'll pull you in.
It'll pull you in, and that's unique. Current. Like it's really good.
Sci-fi. Like we watch medical shows. We watch a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Some stuff we watch is just dumb, but then some stuff like.
Yeah, we do. Really, we like some dumb stuff too. Like, just silly. Don't think about it. Like Everybody Loves Raymond or something.
But we like, like it really. it's just the time to, sometimes we're watching stuff and like, we're both kind of sort of on our phone and talking and doing other stuff too.
Yeah. Answering emails sometimes, but we have a lot. I mean, we work together. We have so much time together, obviously, and we love that, but we do set aside time like to not have work and to just connect. And, you know, that's why the walks have been so good for us, because we truly are giving each other just our full attention.
And if we can laugh together, that's a bonus. Like really laughing with someone is so intimate.
Yeah.
I mean, it brings you closer, lets the guards down. Like we just watched the 50th anniversary Saturday Night Live special on Peacock. You can rewatch it.
We love Saturday Night Live.
It was like 3 hours long and we watched the whole thing. And
it was great.
It was so fun. I mean, the music was great. It was so funny. It was nostalgic. So it was like kind of all those feelings and stuff. And and just looking for things that you both enjoy. And if there's something your spouse likes more, watch it with them sometimes. You'll be surprised. Like she's watched sports with me. I've watched, you know, wedding dress shows with her, stuff that neither of us would be interested in on our own. But when you enter into their world where they are and you get to experience each other in a new way. And it's also a way to serve each other.
That's so good. I'm going to ask you guys one more question and then I'll ask you the question that I close out with everybody because I know we're quickly running out of time. So let's see, where did it go, y'all? I'm like, my brain, bless it. Well, y'all, we went so deep on so much of like the sex stuff that in my mind, I was like, I'm going to break up this episode and do half financial and half. And I was like, this will be so good, like a double whammy, sex and marriage. But I'm like, no, we just went all sex and it's great. But y'all just bring so much good stuff. So let's see. Oh, here we go. So Dave and Ashley, if each of you could give one piece of advice for a thriving marriage, what would it be?
You know, we'll both give an answer other than this, but like Sandra's answers, I really mean it, believe you got to put God first for it to thrive. You know, just he's the foundation, you know, prioritize your faith together. So that's like, start there. But then like building on that, we'll each give one.
Yes. Probably my favorite piece of advice is be grateful. Like be grateful. And I tell everybody this, and this doesn't matter how long you're married. In fact, I feel like this matters even more the longer you've been married. But I would say start the day by thinking of 1 to 3 things that you're grateful for in your spouse. Say a little prayer about it, thank God for it, and then take it a step further and go to your spouse. And throughout the day, share those things with your spouse. Say like, you know what? I just love it when you laugh because I just know it's going to be a great day. And you just have the most infectious laugh. Or you know what? I'm just so grateful you made me that you made that pot of coffee and you make the best kind of coffee. I love that. I mean, it could be the simplest little thing. I mean, even like, you know what? Thank you for putting the dishes in the dishwasher today. You know, that really means a lot that you thought, you know, how much that means to me. And you did that. I mean, just finding the littlest thing. And I just believe that if you're ever in like a tough patch in your marriage, odds are there's not a lot of gratitude on each of your parts. And so I would say get back to the basics of making sure that you're showing each other appreciation. It goes a long way.
Yeah, that's so good. Gosh, there's so many things. I would say always have something on the calendar that you can both look forward to. And for us, that's especially in busy seasons with little kids and all that, like that's been a lifesaver. Like it could be in the short term, we got a date night, a babysitter coming on Thursday, you know, I can't wait till Thursday. And then when you can start planning toward bigger things like a weekend away together or something that you're both looking forward to. I don't know. I think something not even that big, but it's so meaningful. So whenever we do a trip or something, as soon as we get back, we're like scheduling, even if it's way down the road. What's the next adventure? You know?
Having something. Yeah, having something.
So really, and that's just about you're always dreaming together. You're always remembering that there are more adventures to come. And I think that fuels you.
Oh, I love that so much. That's really, really good. Eric and I are turning 40 this year. And so thank you. So our big trip that I'm so pumped about, it's been on my bucket list for forever, is we're going to Greece in September. So it's so fun to be like sharing the YouTube videos back and forth and talking about what restaurants and what are we going to do. So anyway, highly agree.
Good for you.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's totally on our list.
Yes.
It's, you know, Tom Hanks is a dual citizen of Greece randomly because you can look this up because they love going there so much because he said he and his wife have been all over the world and that's their favorite place.
A little fun fact.
That's saying a lot. That is saying a lot.
So they spend a ton of time there. And it's for somebody who's traveled the world. And so like, we've always wanted, we've been all around there, but somehow we've not made it. So you've got to post videos. Let us know.
We're going to live vicariously for you guys.
We're going to go someday. Maybe when we turn 50, we'll just
there you go.
Perfect. Right. Okay, so Dave and Ashley, then I'm curious, where are some of your favorite this is just a bonus question. Again, selfishly, I want to know, what are some of your favorite places in the U.S. that you've traveled together as a couple's trip?
Oh, wow. Ooh. Gosh, that's good.
Oh, can I go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so I loved Acadia National Park in Maine. Maine is awesome, you guys, and especially in the summer. We live in Georgia and we love it, but it gets super hot.
The weather's cool,
but the weather's cooler, and it looks like it's just gorgeous. It's just beautiful. And the reason Acadia National Park is so awesome is because it has mountains, but it also has water, and so you get these spectacular views. And we love hiking, but also the cute little northeastern towns are just the coolest thing.
Yeah, really, we've enjoyed like all the national parks. If you like getting outside, hiking. If you want some of that with also like a lot of town stuff around it, like the Smoky Mountains in Tennessee are one of our favorite spots, going to Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, that whole area, tons of restaurants and fun stuff to do. But the scenery is just beautiful, especially in the fall when the leaves are changing colors. It's just breathtaking. Yeah. But yeah, like our adventures and even just our marriage ministry travel we've gotten to see so many beautiful parts of this country, and there's so much to see. I mean, I just think your world expands.
Yes.
When you travel. So get out there, even if it's just in your own area, and explore, find new things. There's so much to
I agree. And I'll add to that list. Have you guys been to Sedona, Arizona?
We just went.
Oh, we loved it.
For the first time.
We love Sedona.
It is gorgeous. And the Grand Canyon, all that.
We're hooked.
We didn't get to spend much time there.
We barely scratched the surface because we were doing a marriage event. And so we didn't get to do the full experience, but we got to go spend like an afternoon in Sedona, and then we did a trip up to the Grand Canyon, which she'd never seen, and I could go and spend a month in Sedona and just explore and hike and eat. It's
amazing.
So I want to get back. I feel like I didn't even experience it enough to speak to it as like
I agree.
If you guys get a chance to go back and you didn't, while you were there, you didn't get to do, I think it was called Bell Rock. When you walked Eric and I hiked to the top at sunset. And when we got up there, Eric was like, this had to have been like what it was like when God created Eden. Like you look down from this massive mountain and you see like almost like the Garden of Eden. And then those red rocks that are just like, how are those that big? And like the carve outs, like it's just so crazy and cool. So
anyway. Otherworldly. It is. It's otherworldly. I love it.
I hate that we missed
it. Gotta go back.
Put it
on the calendar. All right, y'all. I'm going to ask you the closing question that I ask to every guest, and that is, how do you reset in your marriage?
Yeah, that's good. I would say for us, I think it is trips. Like I think getting away, because our schedule, like everybody's schedule, probably it stays pretty intense, and the daily grind, and we love our daily life. It's not trying to escape. It's not just about escaping that, but to really reset and to kind of focus on us, and to work on the marriage and not just in the marriage. We have to step away from the regular grind, and when we get away to do a marriage event, or even more specifically to just do a trip with no other purpose other than connecting, that always feels like a reset to me.
That's awesome.
It is. Yeah. It is. But I would even say like on a smaller level reset, like just week to week, we keep a weekly date night, and we have our whole entire marriage. We were challenged to do this. And this is when like we could barely afford a babysitter or felt like we didn't have the time or whatever. We would, even if it's an hour, it means everything in the world. And right now, our kids again are 10 to 20. Our older ones can watch our younger ones, which is a huge blessing and a huge turn. It happens in parenting. You're like, this is amazing. So like on Mondays, we call it our Mondate. Our kids refer to it as mom, dad time. And they know. And we go like old people, okay?
Monday is an old person date night. But we love it because everybody else dreads Monday.
Yes.
And for us, it's like, yes, Monday. We give each other, it's like we're giving each other our best energy, And
exactly. And so we go at like 4:30. And beat the crowd, and we get like half price appetizers, and we might spend an hour and a half. We get home in time to still have dinner with the kids, but just that little bit of time.
And then we'll spend the night just chill. Like,
and then we'll chill together.
That's a chill night. We'll like watch Netflix. It's a down night to like it helps us. It helps us kind of start the week with the reset. It's almost like a Sabbath for our marriage.
I love that so much, you guys. That's incredible. Well, great answers on both your parts. Do you mind telling everybody one more time where they can find you online, where they can listen to your podcast, all the things?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So daveandashley.com, DAVEANDASHLEY.com is a good one place to get our calendar. There's, again, I said a free ebook on the homepage that you can download called 9 Days to Great Sex, kind of continuing this conversation in more detail. On Instagram, we're at Dave and Ashley Willis, and we're posting there regularly. And you can slide into our DMs if you like, and we'll try to get back with you if you have any specific questions for us.
That's right. And then our Marriage on the Line podcast, we have the first season up. You can binge it. Listen to it.
It's really good, y'all. Like, I'm not kidding. I ended one of their episodes and every time I'm like, I feel so encouraged right now in my marriage. I text Eric and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I just heard from Dave and Ashley and I want us to do this and da, 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 da. So today, your tangible takeaway is to go listen to one of their marriage podcasts and to share it with your spouse and to share this with your spouse. And then y'all think about maybe one thing that you could do to reset in your marriage this week. And I would love to hear it. I know Dave and Ashley would love to hear it. So if you'll screenshot this episode, share it on your Instagram stories, tag us, let us know what you decided to do, and we will cheer you on and pray for you. Y'all have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Friend, what if I told you that teaching your kids scripture could be easy, fun, and actually stick? My free weekly Bible memory plan for kids gives you one short, powerful verse each week, designed to fit into your crazy busy life. With 4 kid-friendly verses a month and simple ways to weave them into your daily routine, you'll be planting God's word in their hearts without it feeling like homework. Want in? Grab it now at healthybyheatherbrown.com/freebies with an S and start building a faith-filled family today. Okay, friend, that's a wrap on this week's episode. If you're not already following me on Instagram, make sure to screenshot this episode, share it to your stories, and tag at Healthy by Heather Brown so I can connect with you in my DMs. It truly brings me so much joy to see how these episodes impact you. Make sure to subscribe so we can see you back here next Tuesday for our weekly show. In case you don't know, your downloads, ratings, and reviews are the actual lifeblood of this podcast, and it helps spread the word to your friends and family. So please hit the download button on this episode and leave a 5-star rating if you super loved it. And if we're really BFFs, you'll spread the happy and text this podcast link to someone who needs to hear it today for some encouragement. Scroll down to the show notes on this episode to see any and all links mentioned, freebies to fuel your health goals, prayer-related episodes, and the 7-day free trial of my exclusive membership where I personally coach and cheer you on in whole health. While you're there, make sure to check out my Amazon storefront with healthy snacks, my favorite look for less workout outfits, and books and devotionals that challenge me in my faith. If you ever need to find my Amazon storefront, just Google Healthy by Heather Brown Amazon and it will come up. Have a great day, girl gang.